Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I want to share something truly special that landed on my desk recently, a book that felt less like a read and more like a heart-to-heart with a really honest friend. It's called The Year of Less: How I Stopped Shopping, Gave Away My Belongings, and Discovered Life is Worth More Than Anything You Can Buy in a Store by Cut Flanders. This isn't just a book about cutting down on shopping, it's about finding out what truly fills you up when stuff doesn't, and what happens when you strip back the layers and confront what's beneath. Kat's journey begins with a moment of self-reflection on a hiking trip just before her 29th birthday. Her friends were talking about buying houses and having kids, where she felt she was still working on myself. This sparked a thought she'd been sitting on, an experiment where she wouldn't shop for 6 months. Or even a year. Now, this wasn't her first experiment. In the previous 3 years, Kai had already tackled significant personal challenges, getting out of debt, taking control of her health, and quitting drinking. She had even publicly documented these changes on her blog. Blind on a budget, she simply wanted to spend less and save more money because her financial situation still wasn't making her happy. One of the most profound aspects of Kate's story is how deeply personal and vulnerable she is. She reveals that for years she had been keeping secrets from her family, lying to herself about the toll her habits were taking on her physical and mental health. She spent money on alcohol and drugs as a teenager, was in debt from her first credit card, drank alone and blacked out, and often binge ate chocolate and pizza when she was by herself. By May 2011, at 25, she was maxed out with nearly $30, zero of consumer debt, had only $100 left in her checking account, weighed 209 pounds, and had just moved back into her parents' basement after drinking away her entire savings. She hit her personal rock bottom, so the idea of a shopping ban wasn't just about money. It grew from a deeper realization. After she had paid off her debt and gotten healthy, she found herself spending almost every extra penny she had again, just to find expenses on brunch, new books, and frequent travel. Despite her efforts, she couldn't reach her savings goals. Her aha moment came during a family discussion about money, when her 20-year-old sister, Allie, stated she saved 2/3 of her income so she could spend the rest on whatever she wanted. Kate realized the hypocrisy of questioning Allie's spending when she herself was only saving up to 10 of her income. She had everything she wanted, yet it never felt like enough. I was never satisfied. I always wanted more. This led her to challenge herself to go after less. The rules for her year-long shopping ban seemed simple: no new clothes, shoes, accessories, books, magazines, electronics, or anything for the house. She could buy consumables like groceries, toiletries only when she ran out, gifts, and items on a pre-approved list. A significant personal challenge was cutting out takeout coffee, which was her biggest vice and cost her over $100 a month. As part of the ban, Kate decided to declutter her home simultaneously. She realized she had more than she needed and didn't appreciate it. The turning point for her decluttering journey was a lost can opener. During a heatwave in July 2014, she literally dumped the contents of every closet, cupboard, and drawer onto the floor, a method similar to Marie Kondo's, before Kondo's book was even out in North America. She recounts how she got rid of almost everything in her wardrobe, donating 4 garbage bags full of clothes, jackets, shoes, purses, and scarves. She also tackled books, discovering she had bought 240 over a decade but only read 100, often buying extras for free shipping. She kept only 8 books she loved and 54 unread ones she genuinely intended to read, donating 33. By the end of this initial purge, she had backed up and donated 43% of her belongings. This process wasn't just about tendons, it was about realizing the extent of her mindless spending and emotional attachments to stuff. You might be wondering, what was the hardest part of all this? Pat admits that the toughest part of not being allowed to buy anything new wasn't the restriction itself, but having to physically confront her triggers and change her reactions to them. She would find herself instinctively browsing online stores after hearing about a book or notice how alluring products looked in a store. It was like an ex I just couldn't get away from. This was a behavior she'd spent years perfecting. She constantly asked herself, do you really need it? Or is it on your shopping list? One particularly telling example she shares is from Black Friday in November 2014. Despite her efforts to unsubscribe from all store newsletters, one email from her favorite retailer slipped through, offering e-readers for $40 off. An old familiar voice in her head, which she describes as knowing her on a molecular level, told her, "You need this. And you haven't bought anything for yourself in so long, and you have the money." In what she calls a blackout purchase, she went through the motions of buying 2 e-readers, only to realize what she'd done after the confirmation email arrived. This was a clear example of her old compulsive patterns, similar to her food and alcohol blackouts, but this time, a new voice popped into her head, encouraging her to cancel the order. She managed to cancel one e-reader, preventing a significant slip-up. This marked a turning point where she chose not to let shame take over and instead share her mistake on her blog, learning that making an error in judgment didn't make me a bad person. Kate's year was also punctuated by deeply personal challenges that put her resolve to the test. In February, while on a solo trip to New York City, she received devastating news her parents were getting a divorce. This was a huge shock, as she had always believed her family was the family that talked about everything. The news triggered a panic attack, and she describes feeling unprepared to deal with it now. In a year that was already full of enough change and challenges, she realized the divorce felt like a death of the whole unit, and the future I thought we were going to have. This emotional turmoil could have easily led her back to old coping mechanisms, especially drinking. She admits to thinking about it, but knowing she had overcome it before, she resisted. Instead, she occasionally indulged in comfort food binges, a habit she was more self-aware about this time. She even started sharing her unhealthy eating choices with her friend Emma, refusing to feel guilty, which was a crucial step in breaking the cycle of self-loathing. The shopping ban also had a profound impact on her career. By April, she was suffering from occupational burnout in her managing editor role at a financial startup. The company had grown, and she felt pigeonholed. Her opinion no longer mattered, and she was exhausted by the long hours. The ban, by proving she could live on significantly less money, as low as 44–47 of her income compared to 90 previously, gave her the financial freedom to consider a new path. She realized that freelancing could cover her living expenses, even if it meant a pay cut. This led her to quit her stable job and embark on a career as a full-time freelance writer, something that had never been part of the plan before, but it was an option now. Her relationships evolved too. She noticed that when she changed, some friendships slowly faded out, while others grew and flourished. She had friends who tried to convince her to break the ban or justify her spending, but she also had incredible accountability partners like Emma, her cheerleader and champion for success, who could make her laugh at her urges and remind her of her goals. And Claire, her sober Sally, whom she connected with through blogging, offered unwavering support through her panic attacks and personal struggles. In January, midway through her ban, Kate even rewrote her rules to embrace simple living, allowing herself to buy gardening supplies, ingredients for homemade cleaning products, and candle-making supplies. This was her way of getting back some of the life she had known growing up, where her parents were resourceful and creative. So, did it really work? Did she actually save money? Yes, absolutely. Throughout the year, Kay lived on an average of 51 of her income $28, saved $31.17, and spent the other $18 on travel. She learned that when you want less, you consume less, and you also need less money. You might also ask, did she regret getting rid of so much stuff? Her answer is a firm no. She doesn't even remember what most of it was, and the items she chose to keep or acquire after the ban, like a 60-liter backpack for hiking, reflected her true values and passions, not a desire to impress others. By the end of the year of less, Pat Flanders had purged 70% of her belongings. She states that she had spent 29 years trying to be someone she thought she should be, buying things because she felt she wasn't good enough. The ban forced her to stop living on autopilot and ask profound questions. Who was I? What was I already good at? What did I care about? What did I really want in this life? The process expanded her capacity for gratitude and appreciation for simple things. Kate's journey offers powerful advice for anyone considering a similar path. She emphasizes the importance of understanding your why before you begin, your deep-seated reason for undertaking such a challenge. She suggests decluttering your home first to understand how much money you've already wasted and to appreciate what you have. Take an inventory of the items you own the most of, like toiletries, to prevent unnecessary future purchases. Creating 3 lists: essentials, groceries, daily necessities, non-essential items you can buy, and an approved shopping list: specific items you know you'll need. Removing temptations by unsubscribing from store newsletters and unfollowing retailers on social media. Setting up a dedicated shopping and savings account to see your progress. Telling everyone you know and finding at least one accountability partner to help you stay on track. Replacing costly habits with free or cheap alternatives. Most importantly, paying attention to your triggers and intentionally changing your reactions to them, recognizing that many urges to consume stem from emotional pain or unmet needs, learning to live without and becoming more resourceful, and finally, appreciating what you have. Because money has already bought you everything you need, this book is a gift for anyone searching for simplicity in our consumer-focused world. It's a powerful example of how transformative downsizing possessions can be and how you can take it to the next level. Kite's story shows that it doesn't matter where you start, only where you go from there. She reminds us that when we're willing to let go of the things we think we need, we can have a life we really want. In the end, for Kite, it was never really about the money. The band gave her the tools to take control of her life and get a fresh start as her real self. She discovered that more was never the answer. The answer, it turned out, was always less. This is a book that genuinely inspires you to change your life, helping you understand why embracing less will set you free. It challenges you to look inward, beyond the material, and discover what truly makes you feel enough. And that, my friends, is a lesson worth learning.